Good day, everyone. Today, I want to share a message that can serve as a catalyst for personal transformation in 2025. It's a message that does not require any secret formula, but rather it invites you to engage with the most fundamental principle of self-change, personal responsibility. The journey to change begins when you recognize that the quality of your life is, in large part, the result of your choices, actions, and attitudes. This realization may be uncomfortable, but it is also empowering. Because if you are the problem, you can also be the solution. Second, let's talk about clarity. In 2025, where distractions compete for your attention every minute, clarity is power. What do you truly want? What does a meaningful life look like to you? Define it, write it down. Your goals must be specific, measurable, and aligned with your values, not someone else's expectations. Third, focus on daily actions, not distant dreams. Many believe that life changes through big, dramatic shifts. In reality, it's the small, repeated habits, what you eat, what you read, how you spend your first hour each day, that quietly but powerfully shape your future. Fourth, embrace continuous learning and adaptation. In an age of rapid technological shifts and evolving industries, those who commit to lifelong learning will have an unfair advantage. Learn new skills, explore different perspectives, and remain flexible. This adaptability is a survival skill in the 2025 world. Fifth, audit your environment. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the places you frequent, they all shape your mindset. If you want to change your life, change what surrounds you. Find communities that uplift you, challenge you, and encourage you to grow. Finally, understand this truth. Action must come before confidence. Most people wait until they feel ready, but the reality is, courage comes through doing. Even when you feel fear or doubt, take the step anyway. The comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. In conclusion, the power to start changing your life lies in your hands, not tomorrow. Not next year, today. Start small, stay consistent, stay curious, and remember, every big change starts with a single, intentional action. Personal responsibility is the foundation of any meaningful life change, and it is often the most overlooked. In a world that constantly presents us with distractions, opinions, and excuses, it becomes easy to point fingers at circumstances, people, or the past. Yet history, psychology, and education all suggest one profound truth. The moment you fully accept ownership of your life is the moment you unlock the door to transformation. When people think of personal responsibility, they often confuse it with blame or guilt. However, the concept is not about assigning fault. It is about reclaiming agency. Many individuals spend their lives waiting for someone else to make things right, for a better economy, for a more supportive partner, or for a perfect moment. They may fall into the trap of thinking that because something bad happened to them, they are forever stuck. But the truth is that while we may not be responsible for everything that happens to us, we are responsible for how we respond, how we move forward, and how we choose to frame our experiences. Personal responsibility is an empowering stance, not a limiting one. It invites individuals to stop being passive observers of their lives and instead become active participants. This shift in mindset changes everything. For example, when you stop blaming your upbringing, your boss, or even your genetics, and you start asking, "What can I do with what I have?" you move from a position of helplessness to a position of power. This change does not happen overnight, and it requires honesty, humility, and courage. It requires you to confront parts of your life that you might have been ignoring, avoiding, or rationalizing away. In educational psychology, this is known as developing an internal locus of control. Research shows that individuals who believe that their actions have direct consequences in their lives tend to be more successful, resilient, and motivated. They are more likely to set goals, pursue them persistently, and bounce back from setbacks. On the other hand, those with an external locus of control, who believe that their fate is largely in the hands of others or determined by luck, tend to feel disempowered, anxious, and disengaged. Thus, taking personal responsibility is not just a moral choice. It is a scientifically supported strategy for improving your life outcomes. Moreover, personal responsibility extends beyond behavior. It includes your emotions, your mindset, and your narrative. You are responsible for the way you talk to yourself, the stories you tell about your life, and the perspective you choose to adopt. This is not to say that life is fair or that everyone starts from the same place. Acknowledging systemic, personal, and historical challenges is important. But personal responsibility means that no matter where you start, you take charge of the next step. In 2025, where technology, society, and culture are moving at an accelerated pace, the temptation to drift with the current is even stronger. It is easier than ever to blame the algorithms, the media, the government, or your environment for your dissatisfaction. But doing so leaves you in a reactive mode, waiting for change instead of creating it. Personal responsibility is the antidote to this modern drift. It forces you to look inward and ask difficult but necessary questions. What am I tolerating? Where am I making excuses? What actions have I been avoiding? Education in this area is crucial because without self-awareness, most people are blind to the ways in which they give away their power daily. Personal responsibility requires reflection and intentionality. Journaling, self-assessment, and feedback from trusted mentors can help shine a light on blind spots. Additionally, it's important to remember that taking responsibility does not mean doing everything alone. It is equally about seeking help, learning from others, and building systems of support, but always from the standpoint that you are the one initiating that change. Ultimately, personal responsibility is about choice. Every day, you are presented with countless choices: how you think, how you speak, how you act. While you cannot control everything that happens, you can control how you show up to those situations. That is where your power lies. In accepting this, you are no longer a victim of circumstances, but a creator of circumstances. Thus, the first and most critical step in changing your life is to stop looking outward and start looking inward. Own your thoughts, own your actions, own your outcomes, because until you do, no amount of advice, motivation, or opportunity will create lasting change. The path to a better life starts with this internal declaration: I am responsible. Clarity of vision and goals is one of the most critical components of personal and professional development, yet it is often underestimated or approached superficially. In a rapidly changing world, such as that of 2025, where opportunities and distractions are both abundant, the absence of clear direction can leave individuals overwhelmed, scattered, and frustrated. Clarity serves as the compass that guides you through the noise, helping you focus your time, energy, and actions on what truly matters to you. Many people set goals, but few do so with true clarity. There is a significant difference between vague aspirations and clear, defined goals that are deeply connected to one's values and purpose. For example, wanting to be successful or wealthy is not a clear goal. It lacks specificity, measurability, and emotional connection. Clarity demands that you ask yourself deeper questions. What does success look like for me personally? Why does it matter to me? How will I know when I have achieved it? What is the timeline? The more specific and detailed your vision, the more likely you are to pursue it with purpose and persistence. Goal clarity is also about alignment. Your goals should align with your authentic desires, not with societal pressures, external expectations, or fleeting trends. In 2025, where social media and mass communication bombard us with images of what others claim to be the ideal life, it is easy to confuse someone else's vision with your own. This is why self-reflection becomes essential. You must take the time to disconnect from external noise and reconnect with your inner voice. Meditation, journaling, and asking yourself powerful questions like what do I want my life to feel like? And what do I want to contribute to the world? Can help you uncover your authentic goals. Clarity also demands that your goals are actionable and broken down into manageable steps. Vague dreams often remain dreams because they feel too big, distant, or intimidating. But when you break them down into concrete actions and milestones, they become attainable. This is where frameworks like SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound are useful. They provide structure and accountability to your vision. For example, instead of saying, I want to be healthier, a clearer goal would be, I will exercise for 30 minutes, 5 days a week for the next 3 months. Moreover, clarity of goals acts as a filter for decision making. When you have a well-defined vision, you can more easily say no to distractions, temptations, or opportunities that do not serve your long-term objectives. This prevents decision fatigue and helps you stay focused on the path that leads to your desired outcome. In a world overflowing with options, clarity is not just useful, it is essential for maintaining focus and avoiding burnout. Another often overlooked aspect of clarity is the emotional connection to your goals. Goals driven by deep personal meaning are far more motivating than those pursued out of obligation or comparison. When your goals resonate with your values, they ignite an internal drive that sustains you even when challenges arise. This is why it's crucial to explore not only what you want, but also why you want it. The why behind your goals becomes the fuel that keeps you moving forward when motivation fades or obstacles appear. Clarity also provides you with a sense of direction in uncertain times. Life will always present unexpected changes, setbacks, and detours. But when your vision is clear, you are better able to adapt and adjust your strategies while still keeping your eyes on the bigger picture. Think of it as navigating a ship. The waters may be rough and the winds unpredictable, but when you know your destination, you can adjust your sails and course without losing your sense of direction. In addition, goal clarity enhances your ability to track progress and celebrate small victories along the way. This builds momentum and confidence, reinforcing your belief that your efforts are making a difference. Without clear benchmarks, it is difficult to know whether you are progressing or stagnating, which can lead to frustration or apathy. In conclusion, clarity of vision and goals is not a luxury. It is a necessity for anyone seeking meaningful life change. It requires introspection, honesty, specificity, and a commitment to aligning your actions with your authentic desires. In the fast-paced, opportunity-saturated world of 2025, those who take the time to develop clear goals will have a distinct advantage over those who drift aimlessly or follow the crowd. Clarity empowers you to make intentional choices, invest your energy wisely, and pursue a life that is not only successful by external standards but deeply fulfilling by your own. Daily habits are the invisible architects of your future. They are the small, repeated actions that, over time, compound into significant outcomes, whether positive or negative. Many people overestimate the power of dramatic events to change their lives, while underestimating the transformative potential of small, consistent habits practiced over weeks, months, and years. In 2025, where instant gratification is at an all-time high, understanding the quiet power of habits becomes more important than ever. Human behavior is largely habitual. Studies in neuroscience and psychology have shown that as much as 40% to 50% of our daily actions are driven by habits rather than conscious decision making. This is because the brain, in an effort to conserve energy, creates routines and patterns that allow us to operate on autopilot. The question is not whether you have habits, it is whether your current habits are serving the person you want to become. If you want to change your life, the first place to look is your daily routines because they are shaping your future whether you realize it or not. Small habits might seem insignificant on their own, but they add up to powerful results over time through the principle of compounding. This concept, often associated with finance, applies equally to personal growth, health, and skill development. For example, reading 10 pages of a book per day may feel trivial, but over the course of a year, you will have read approximately 650 pages, which is the equivalent of several substantial books. Similarly, saving a small amount of money daily may not feel like much in the moment, but over years it can grow into a significant financial cushion. This is the power of consistency applied to small actions. The key to leveraging daily habits is intentionality. You must consciously design habits that align with your goals and values rather than leaving them to chance. Many people drift through their days reacting to circumstances, social media, or the demands of others, allowing their environment to dictate their behavior. But those who take control of their habits take control of their lives. This begins with awareness, paying close attention to your current routines, identifying which ones are helpful and which ones are harmful, and then making deliberate choices to replace destructive patterns with constructive ones. Changing habits is not always easy, but it is achievable through gradual, sustainable approaches. Research shows that attempting to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight often leads to frustration and failure. Instead, focusing on making tiny, incremental improvements can create lasting change. This is known as the 1% better every day approach, where the emphasis is not on perfection but on progress. Over time, these small improvements compound into remarkable results. Moreover, habits are not isolated behaviors. They are part of larger systems and environments. The cues and triggers around you greatly influence your habits. For example, if you want to develop the habit of drinking more water, placing a water bottle on your desk serves as a visual cue that makes the habit easier to remember and perform. Similarly, if you want to reduce screen time, creating physical distance from your phone or using apps that limit usage can help. Designing your environment to support your desired habits removes friction and makes success more likely. Another important aspect of habit formation is identity. The most powerful habits are those that are tied to how you see yourself. For instance, instead of setting a goal to run 3 times a week, adopting the identity of "I am a runner" naturally reinforces the behavior. When your actions align with your identity, habits become effortless because they are no longer tasks you have to do but expressions of who you are. In addition, tracking your habits can significantly boost your consistency. When you see visual evidence of your progress, whether through a habit tracker, journal, or checklist, it reinforces the behavior and provides motivation to keep going. This method also creates a feedback loop where small wins boost your confidence and drive further action. In conclusion, if you want to predict where your life will be in the future, look closely at your daily habits today. They are the small hinges that swing big doors. Whether your goals are related to health, relationships, career, or personal growth, focusing on small, daily actions will yield far greater and more sustainable results than relying on occasional bursts of motivation or waiting for external circumstances to change. In 2025, where life moves fast and distractions are everywhere, those who commit to mastering their daily habits will quietly but surely build the future they desire. In the world of 2025, where change is not only constant but accelerating, the ability to learn and adapt has become one of the most essential skills for personal and professional survival. Technological advances, societal shifts, and global challenges are reshaping industries, economies, and communities at a pace never seen before in human history. Those who resist change or cling to outdated mindsets risk falling behind, while those who embrace learning and adaptation position themselves to thrive in this new landscape. Learning is no longer confined to the traditional classroom or formal education. The age of lifelong learning is upon us, where individuals must continuously seek knowledge, acquire new skills, and remain curious throughout their lives. This is because the skills that brought success in the past may no longer be relevant in the future. Jobs are being automated, industries are evolving, and new opportunities are emerging in areas that did not exist a decade ago. In this environment, your capacity to learn, unlearn, and relearn becomes your most valuable asset. Adaptation is the companion skill to learning. It is not enough to acquire new information or skills. One must also develop the flexibility to adjust their behaviors, strategies, and mindsets in response to new information and changing circumstances. Adaptability requires emotional resilience, open-mindedness, and a willingness to step outside of comfort zones. It means letting go of rigid thinking, outdated beliefs, and the fear of the unknown, and instead embracing uncertainty as a space of growth and opportunity. One of the most significant barriers to learning and adaptation is the fixed mindset. This term, coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, refers to the belief that abilities, intelligence, and talents are static traits. People with a fixed mindset avoid challenges, fear failure, and see effort as fruitless if they believe they are not naturally talented in a certain area. In contrast, those with a growth mindset believe that abilities can be developed through effort, feedback, and persistence. They embrace challenges, view failure as a learning experience, and are more likely to take risks that lead to personal growth. Cultivating a growth mindset is essential for embracing learning and adaptation in any area of life. In practical terms, embracing learning and adaptation starts with curiosity. Curiosity drives exploration, questioning, and discovery. It encourages you to ask, what else can I learn? How can I improve? What perspectives am I missing? Curiosity keeps you humble, acknowledging that no matter how much you know, there is always more to learn. In a world where knowledge is abundant and easily accessible, curiosity is the fuel that keeps the learning engine running. Another critical factor is the willingness to make mistakes and learn from them. Many people fear failure and, as a result, avoid situations where they might make errors or look incompetent. However, mistakes are an inevitable and necessary part of the learning process. Every skill, from public speaking to coding to leadership, requires a phase of awkwardness, trial, and error. Those who understand this are not deterred by setbacks. They see them as feedback, as information that guides them toward improvement. They understand that progress is rarely linear and that discomfort is often a sign of growth. Technology has made learning more accessible than ever before. Online courses, podcasts, webinars, digital books, and communities of practice are available at your fingertips. However, access to information is not the same as transformation. The key is applying what you learn, experimenting, reflecting, and refining your approach. Learning must be active, not passive. It is not about collecting certificates or consuming endless content. It is about integrating new knowledge into your daily life and allowing it to influence your decisions and actions. Moreover, embracing learning and adaptation is not just about individual gain. It is also about contributing to your community, your workplace, and the world at large. When you learn, you expand your capacity to solve problems, create value, and help others navigate change. Adaptable individuals become leaders in their fields, not necessarily because they know everything, but because they are willing to learn what is necessary and adjust when the situation demands it. In conclusion, in the dynamic world of 2025 and beyond, embracing learning and adaptation is no longer optional. It is essential for those who wish to grow, stay relevant, and create a meaningful life. It requires humility, curiosity, resilience, and the courage to step into the unknown. By adopting a learner's mindset and remaining flexible in your strategies and behaviors, you empower yourself to navigate change not as a threat, but as an opportunity for continuous evolution and improvement. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is one of the most powerful, yet often overlooked strategies for transforming your life. In 2025, where social interactions are not limited to physical spaces but extend deeply into digital platforms, the people and content you allow into your mental and emotional space can significantly shape your mindset, beliefs, behaviors, and ultimately your destiny. Human beings are inherently social creatures, and we are influenced, consciously and subconsciously, by those we spend the most time with. This influence can either lift us higher, inspire us, and push us toward our goals, or it can drain our energy, limit our thinking, and hold us back from our true potential. Numerous studies in psychology and sociology confirm that we become the average of the people we associate with the most. This applies to income levels, health behaviors, attitudes, and even levels of happiness and motivation. If you surround yourself with people who complain, settle for mediocrity, or have a negative outlook on life, it becomes harder to maintain a positive and growth-oriented mindset. Their limiting beliefs can subtly seep into your thinking, making you question your goals or dampening your enthusiasm. On the other hand, when you are around people who are ambitious, optimistic, solution-oriented, and supportive, you are more likely to adopt similar attitudes and behaviors. Their energy becomes contagious, their ideas spark your creativity, and their encouragement propels you forward during challenging times. Creating an environment of positive influences requires intentionality. It begins with evaluating your current circle, friends, colleagues, mentors, online communities, and asking yourself whether these relationships nurture your growth or hinder it. This does not mean you must cut off everyone who is not constantly positive, but it does mean being mindful of the impact they have on your mental state and overall progress. Sometimes this requires difficult conversations, setting boundaries, or spending less time with people who consistently bring negativity or drama into your life. Equally important is the proactive effort to seek out and build connections with individuals who embody the qualities you aspire to develop. This might mean joining mastermind groups, attending networking events, participating in professional associations, or simply reaching out to people you admire. In today's connected world, it is easier than ever to find mentors, peers, and communities that align with your values and ambitions. Online platforms, webinars, forums, and social media allow you to access thought leaders, industry experts, and like-minded individuals from across the globe. Beyond physical and virtual relationships, the content you consume also forms a significant part of your environment. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the social media accounts you follow, all of these contribute to the mental diet you are feeding your mind. If you constantly expose yourself to negative news, gossip, or trivial distractions, it becomes difficult to maintain focus and optimism. On the contrary, if you fill your mind with educational, motivational, and uplifting content, you reinforce a mindset of growth, learning, and positivity. Another aspect of surrounding yourself with positive influences is the role of accountability. When you share your goals with people who believe in your potential and are committed to their own growth, they can hold you accountable, offer constructive feedback, and push you beyond your comfort zone. This kind of support system is invaluable because it keeps you grounded, focused, and committed during times of doubt or struggle. However, it is important to recognize that positive influences are not about blind optimism or avoiding difficult conversations. True positive influences challenge you to confront your weaknesses, question your assumptions, and push past your excuses. They do not enable complacency, rather, they inspire action, resilience, and continuous self-improvement. These are the people who will celebrate your victories, but also hold up a mirror when you are off track. In conclusion, surrounding yourself with positive influences is not merely about feeling good in the moment. It is a deliberate strategy to create an ecosystem that supports your personal evolution. In 2025, where information overload, negativity, and distractions are prevalent, carefully curating the people, conversations, and content in your life becomes a form of self-care and personal leadership. By intentionally cultivating relationships and environments that inspire, uplift, and challenge you, you accelerate your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself, and you create a ripple effect that can positively impact others around you as well. One of the most significant obstacles to changing your life is not the lack of knowledge, talent, or resources. It is the hesitation to take action, often fueled by the fear of failure. In 2025, where opportunities for growth and success are abundant but competition is fierce, the difference between those who achieve their goals and those who remain stagnant is not necessarily intelligence or skill, but the courage to act despite fear, uncertainty, and potential setbacks. Taking action is the bridge between dreams and reality, and overcoming the fear of failure is a critical skill that unlocks the door to personal transformation. Many people spend their lives trapped in analysis paralysis. They overthink, overplan, and wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. They convince themselves that they need more information, more preparation, or more favorable circumstances before they can begin. This mindset creates an endless loop of hesitation and inaction, which leads to frustration, regret, and wasted potential. The truth is, no amount of preparation can eliminate all risk, and waiting for perfect conditions often means waiting forever. Action creates clarity. When you take steps forward, even imperfect ones, you learn, adapt, and gain valuable feedback that you could never acquire from theory alone. Fear of failure is deeply rooted in our psychology. It often stems from childhood experiences, societal expectations, or personal insecurities. Many people associate failure with embarrassment, rejection, or a blow to their self-worth. However, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a fundamental part of the success process. Every successful person in any field has encountered setbacks, mistakes, and failures along their journey. What separates them from those who remain stuck is their ability to reframe failure as a learning experience rather than a defining verdict on their abilities. One of the most effective ways to overcome the fear of failure is to change your relationship with it. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid at all costs, view it as valuable data that informs your progress. Every failure provides insights into what does not work, what needs improvement, and where you can adjust your approach. In this way, failure becomes a teacher, not an enemy. Embracing this mindset requires humility and resilience, but it also liberates you from the paralyzing grip of perfectionism and fear. Another important principle is to break down your actions into manageable steps. Often, people become overwhelmed because they focus on the enormity of the goal rather than the small, actionable steps that can be taken today. When you break your goal into bite-sized tasks, you reduce the intimidation factor and create momentum. Action breeds confidence. Each small win builds your belief in your ability to move forward, and this compounding effect gradually diminishes the power of fear. In addition, it is essential to detach your self-worth from the outcomes of your actions. Many people fear failure because they tie their identity and value to their achievements. When they fail, they see it as a reflection of their inadequacy. Instead, adopt the mindset that your worth is intrinsic and not dependent on external results. This allows you to approach challenges with curiosity and openness rather than fear and defensiveness. Creating an environment that encourages action is also vital. Surround yourself with people who support your efforts, celebrate progress, and normalize setbacks as part of the journey. Avoid environments or influences that criticize, discourage, or instill a fear-based mindset. Remember, courage is often contagious. When you see others around you taking bold actions and embracing their failures as learning experiences, it becomes easier for you to do the same. Finally, remember that action does not have to be grand or dramatic. Even small actions, consistently taken, can create significant change over time. Taking the first step, whether it is making a phone call, signing up for a class, starting a project, or initiating a conversation, sets powerful energy in motion. The key is to move from intention to action, from dreaming to doing. In conclusion, taking action and overcoming the fear of failure is not just about achieving goals. It is about building a life of purpose, courage, and growth. In 2025 and beyond, where the pace of change demands agility and boldness, those who develop the habit of acting despite fear will stand out and succeed. By reframing failure, starting small, detaching from outcomes, and fostering an action-oriented environment, you empower yourself to break through barriers, learn from every experience, and create the life you envision. The courage to act is within you, and it is the single most important catalyst for meaningful change.